functional food and nutraceuticals to food fraud detection and also the rapid hits and all. Okay, can I have your attention now? Okay, we start. Next one, sir. This is the coverage. Maybe how do you define food frauds? What are the examples, health effects, and then we come to the testing. Rapid. Food fraud, a collective term used to cover intentional substitution, addition, misrepresentation. Either you substitute some part, you just take out of that. You add something which is not beneficial. Misrepresentation of food, ingredients or packaging. Food, ingredients and packaging are false or misleading statement made about the product for economical gain. Even if you don't substitute or add or something, but your claim is misleading, your statement is misleading, then also it can be covered into the food fraud. Many times, like I will just show you examples. Fine, it is. Anybody can tell the difference between food fraud and food adulteration. What is the difference between food adulteration and food fraud?
So I think food fraud includes food adulterants.
Yeah.
Because food adulterants is particularly when you add something or create such a thing which is not beneficial or it's harmful.
Right, right. Actually, food adulteration is also covered into the broader perspective of the food fraud. Maybe it is a similar kind of connotation. Earlier, we used to call it as food adulteration. Now it has added some more aspects into that. That is how I was focusing on statement, misleading statement made about the product, because misleading statement will not come into the food adulteration, but this will come into the food fraud. One example is like when somebody is selling non-halal meat as a halal meat. So they are not doing any substitution, addition or in anything. Only thing, the statement what they say, it is not correct with the profile of the food. It is non-halal, but they are claiming it as a halal. So that will come into the food fraud. Right? I have just put some examples of food frauds which is reported widely into last about 5 years or so across the world. It is not only in India, across the world. These are examples like we know that olive oil is the costliest oil. So they are adding some cheaper oil into that. Sometimes they add the aniline or palm oil or some other oil and they sell it as a olive oil. So that is one food fraud. Melamine into the milk formulation, infant food, that we heard I think 2008 or sometime, wherein many children got affected, died, and also many were sick, which originated from China and then followed in some other countries. Another very common example, injecting shrimp with gel, some kind of gel they inject into shrimp to look it bigger and also to weigh it higher, more, because weight will be more, so cost will be more. Selling non-halal foods as halal. Also in India, 2, 3, 4 years back, common example came about the formaldehyde, formalin, where they were adding the formalin into fish to increase the shelf life of the fish, to make it fresh. So that was also a fraud. Then Europe, Denmark or some other country, beef meat contained the horse and pig meat. So they have done the test and all, they were selling it as a beef, but they were containing horse and pig meat into that. Recently, last 3-4 years, we have seen big kind of survey, big kind of study, wherein Indian honey, they contain sugars and sugar syrups and all. They were not actual honey. So these are the very serious examples, because most of the time it is done with a commercial intention to get it monetary benefit of that. Detection of frauds. Nowadays, I will just come subsequently. Many tools have come, handheld kind of thing, portable kind of thing, wherein you can find out whether the food is adulterated, food is fraud or something, which could be artificial intelligence, and also the ML, also the database, maybe the NIR, IR, or the various tools have come. They are very useful, and then it is time saving. You don't have to carry the food to your laboratory and do the test, which will take time and also the costly kind of affair. As I mentioned you one example wherein the beef meat had other horse meat and all, and also very common tool which they use for species identification, especially in the marine foods, fish and all. This tool is very useful. You don't have any other tool than this, wherein you need to have the DNA sequencing, and then you can find it out whether the and also you can specify the specific species of the food, of the fish and all. So here you need to extract the DNA, then you have to have some kind of sequencing, and then after that sequencing, whatever is the reference sequence of that product. Like suppose here you have example, like there will be a fixed specific DNA sequencing of the beef meat. If some other meat is added, then that DNA sequencing will change, and then you can already identify that whether this meat is fraud kind of things by using PCR and all those things. It is a commonly used, but again it may take some time, and also it has to be done into the lab. Another very useful tool which has been used now recently, which is the nuclear techniques, wherein the stable isotopes are used to find out the source origin of those products. This study has been used extensively in honey. We have carried out now recently because last 3-4 years the issue has come. You know that any moiety, any product will have a specific atomic kind of structure, and those atomic structure may have the neutrons and protons. the protons could be fixed, but neutrons will change. So whenever you are using some different kind of source, different kind of elements, neutrons will change into that. Then what they are trying to do, they are trying to make it as a, like suppose for example, if I take like C3 and C4 plants, like you will know that C3 plants is specifically, maybe it is from the sugar beet, sugar cane and all those things, and C4 you will have some other kind of plants, maybe maize and some mustards and all. So by identifying the C3 and C4, you will have the different kind of this isotopes in that. So isotopes will vary into C3 and C4, wherein the neutrons will change, and by that you can find out whether this product is authentic or this product is substituted or this product is fraud kind of thing. So you can identify with various elements, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and then you can find out what kind of source, what kind of fertilizer, what kind of soil, what kind of plant. So they can always be found out. So these are very recent ones and they are used now. I just wanted to make you aware so that you are also having exposure, and also you can further, if you are looking for further strengthening the knowledge into this field, maybe you can do it further. Another very important aspect which is now used in many advanced countries and India also, they are using in certain commodities, mango and also the wine, another wine product, blockchain technology. Blockchain, what they do, they are trying to maintain the traceability chain from the farmers, from the field to the consumer, and either through the help of various tagging, some kind of sensor, some kind of tag, they put chips and all. So through that GPS also, nowadays any product consignment, if it is goes from one country to other country, GPS tags are used, so that you will know many times certain wine samples, French wine and all, you must have heard that. So wine value increases if it is from the specific country, France and all, specific field. Mango, like Alfonso and all. Basmati, maybe from Dehradun. So a specific zone has a specific geographical indicators with that, GI tag. So how to know whether this mango has come from Maharashtra, or this grape has come from Nasik, or this wine has come from the France, or Basmati has come from the Dehradun or Pakistan. So this kind of GI tag is assigned from the field only, from farmers, so that anybody wants to check, it can be auditable, it can be audited, and then the total blocks, it is not that the total chain of the production from the farmers to the consumer, including the distribution, transport, retailer and consumer, farmer, total blocks have been made, and those all blocks have been identified with specific detection kind of tags. They call it as a blockchain. So those tags has to follow, so that you can always connect it whether this product is coming from a specific zone, a specific area, and every place the specific ledger will be there. We call it as a DLT, distributed ledger technology, DLT, distributed ledger technology. So DLT is a component of the blockchain technology, and that has been used. Actually, this is basically used in some other agencies, like suppose automobile or maybe communication, from which source it is coming. But now that is also finding the very good use into the food whenever we are trying to establish the traceability chain, GI tag and all those things. So that is also coming, so that nobody can fraud, nobody can claim that this basmati rice is not from the specific zone but from somewhere else, because basmati rice has a specific flavor, which is acetyl kind of flavor that comes only from that kind of soil and that kind of zone. Then another tool which has come, which is called NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance. So NMR, where again it is based on the database. Like suppose we did some work on honey. We got honey from various zones like Kashmir, Arunachal, Mizoram, and all over in India, because ICAR has a project on honeybees. So they are using the honey bee farmers, and they supply the specific kind of seeds with them, and those plants are cultivated in those zones. Either it is a tulsi flower, or it is acacia, or some other kind of flower. So those flowers are grown in those zones. From there, the honey bee will pick the pollens of that plant and then extract the honey from that, nectar from that, and that will be collected. So we knew that this ICR project from a specific zone, Arunachal, Mizoram, Srinagar, all those areas are coming from a specific flower, and that honey we collected it authentic, and that database we did in terms of its characteristics, in terms of its flavor compound, using LCMS, GCMS and all, flavoring compound, also various VOC, volatile compound, organic compound, and then we have developed a kind of library database of about maybe 500 or 600 samples we collected it. So now if somebody is claiming that this honey is from acacia, this honey is from Nagaland, or this honey is from somewhere, now we can always connect it with our database and see whether this flavor profile or VOC profile is matching or not. So then we can say whether this product is authentic or not, and if any fraud is there, then that fraud can be identified. So these are the various recent tools which are used, very modern one, last about 5 years or so. All this, what I talked about, this nuclear techniques, which is dealing with these isotopes, DNA sequencing, and also the NMR and blockchain technologies.
So this has been kept as a mandatory test now for export NMR testing.
Yeah, if you are exporting the honey, certain countries are asking for that. Like Germany and all those countries, they are asking you have to supply the NMR data with that. But India, it is still not mandatory. But because first of all, these techniques require very skilled kind of manpower. You need to have very highly skilled manpower who can identify that. Also, the tools, NMR is highly costly. One NMR can cost about 5 crore or 6 crore. Sometimes it is 10 crores and all. So each lab, each state cannot afford. Even if they can afford, the NMR requires very highly skilled manpower who has got all the knowledge of structural chemistry. So by various profile, they can identify that. So these are not yet functional, but some work is carried out, and certain labs like EIC Mumbai, CFTRI Mysore, Punjab PBTI, and some more, I think Dabur and some other labs, some 5-6 labs have all these facilities and they do that test. However, the honey test, which now FSSAI has mandated, in that this isotopes have come now. You have to find out whether C3 sugar is present or C4 is present. So that is mandatory now. Even in this Indian honey, the test has to find out whether the honey is from C3 or C4 plants there. So this is as per the law, it is mandatory for the honey. Is it fine?
Sir, I have a question regarding blockchains.
Yeah.
If we have to implement this blockchain in our products,
Yeah.
so how we can implement it, what we need to implement, and how we can make sure that we have full traceability? Because if I am the manufacturer and sending the product to say distributor, then he will send it to retailer, then maybe he will resell it again. So how we can maintain that, and what are the tools?
It is the responsibility of the FBO. I told you that it is not for the generic food. It is for only those kind of food where the GI tag is required. Like I told you, French wine, maybe banana from a specific zone, maybe mango from a specific zone. ABIDA has already implemented grape net. ABIDA has already implemented mango net. ABIDA has implemented basmati net. So whenever because these products are premium kind of products, consumers are paying it higher rate because they want a specific flavor, a specific food from that food. You can go to the website of ABIDA. You will find the detail. Grape nets. I have gone to the Nasik farm, seen the farmers. They will be supplied with specific seed. They will be supplied with all kind of agri chemicals, water, fertilizer, pesticide. Everything will be controlled. There will be inspectors. They will supervise that, and then the way it is procured, they will always have the GI tag from the packet which is going from that Nasik belt to the port, and then from the port to the country. It will have the some kind of tagging with that. Route also. Everything, if somebody in Germany, they wants to check that, they can find out the product kahan pe hai. So those, but you cannot apply for all kind of food. It is only for the premium specific food where the GI tag is there. So GI tag is there. So because you don't want anybody to claim that, like suppose somebody from Bihar wants to send the grape and say that it is GI of Nasik. So obviously it can be found out because Nasik, the grapes will have all those tags. Anything else coming, it can be found out there. It is specific only, not for all kind of foods.
Just like our saffron.
Yeah, saffron. Saffron is from here. So if government wants to implement that, and obviously I think saffron is not cultivated anywhere else. Saffron is almost all from here. So if government wants to implement that, if they find that some other manufacturer from somewhere, they are also selling it on the with the Kashmir saffron and all, it can be always carried out here because saffron is also a highly costly products and all, so that can be used there. Blockchain. So this is, I am covering it under the fraud, food fraud, so that claim cannot be misleading kind of claim. Claim of origin, claim of origin is also important. Is it fine? Anybody has any doubts on this? Recent tools on the food fraud detection. Now we will come to the simpler ones, which is common for various foods. I will not go into definitions. We have heard that. This also maybe I will skip it. Most common food which are vulnerable for food adulteration. Milk is the source. Milk and milk products like chena, paneer, soya, milk and all those things are most commonly adulterated. Grains, flours, oil, pulses, coffee, tea, spices, condiment, besan, these are the products which are most commonly adulterated. These are some adverse health effects. Mostly it could be carcinogenic, it could be also causing the simpler like vomiting, abdominal pain, cramps, neurological. So most of them may have the severe health effects. I have just told some of the examples. Milk, turmeric, which could be contaminated by chromate. Coffee could be contaminated with the chicory. Tea could be contaminated with the used kind of tea, maybe. These are the various adulterants like milk, water, starch, sodium bicarbonate, urea, ammonium sulfate, cellulose and all, because many times we must have seen that synthetic milk and all. Edible oil, argemone oil, castor oil, mineral oil, pulses, sometimes they use color, all those things, kesari dal, spices. These are the various adulterants. Synthetic dyes, like suppose some spices, they want to look as a appealing one, color. Sudan dye, methanol, auromine, malachite, all those things can be added to look it attractive, colorful. Cheaper oil, palm oil, castor oil, chemicals, sodium bicarbonate, urea, BBO was a common example in oil was used. These are the several adulterants. Now I will just show you some simple tests. One study which was carried out in 2018 or sometime, it was found that wherein they got sample from all the states and then they have tested it, almost about 7,000 large samples, milk samples, and they found about 30% of the milk sold in India was adulterated, almost about 1/3 of the sample adulterated. Now, I will just very simple household kind of test. Any common consumer in the home can do this simple test. If the milk is added with water, excess water, you just one drop of the milk you put on a very plain surface, allow it to flow. if the milk is containing water, it will not leave any kind of patch when it flows there. When pure milk is there, you will find the patch of white when it flows there. Simple kind of test. It is home kind of test for the household and all. If your milk is containing some kind of detergents, carbonates or some kind of thing, you can just shake it, and then by shaking you will get excess of the foam. So by that you will know that probably it has some kind of detergents into that. Starch. Many times milk may contain some added starch to increase the soluble solids into that. So when they add the starch to, actually soluble solids should come either from the protein or from the sugar, but somebody can add some starch into that. So you can add little bit of iodine into that, and then this milk will turn into the colorful kind of compound. So if the color changes, then you will know that this contains the starch, blue color. Similarly, honey, if the sugar solution is added to honey, take a clean water, then you put the honey. Then if honey goes and settles as such, then you know the honey is pure. But if it submerges, if it dissolves kind of thing, so then you can find out that it may contain the sugar solution. Tea, if it is extracted tea, used tea, then it will have it on a filter paper. You will have some kind of color kind of coming out, and you can find out that this tea is adulterated with the used tea extract. Chicory in coffee. Sometimes coffee and chicory will be sold together. So then that also can be used. If you put into water, the coffee and all will be floating on top, and chicory will come and settle down, because chicory will be little bit weight will be there, heavier. Many times we see that peas, matar, will be colored green color, dark color. Many times we have seen that. So if you put it into water, those colored one, you will find the color coming out, and your water will be colorful in that. So that you can know that whether this peas is colored. Similarly, argemone in mustard seed. Mustard seed, when you see, it will be round, spherical and smooth kind of surface, and when you press that with your fingers, you will get the creamish kind of flow coming out. But when you have the argemone seeds, they will not be round, they will not be smooth, they will be kind of rough, bigger one. And also when you press that, whitish kind of flow will come out, so that you can know that whether it is argemone added with the mustard. These are few tests, simple tests, which you don't need any equipment, any chemical. You can do it at household. We do it mainly for the households and all, just simple kind of test. Coconut oil, because it is costly, sometimes they can add some other oil. Then coconut oil, when you put it into fridge, it will solidify. But if it is added with some other oil, then it will, on the top you will find the unsolidified kind of oil. It means it is added with some other oil other than the coconut oil. Lead chromate I talked about in turmeric. It is added, it is carcinogenic, cancer causing. It may have the color coming out. So if you put pure turmeric, you don't find color coming out into that. But if it is added with chromate, so then the color will come out into that. another thing, sometimes we see black pepper is contaminated with papaya seeds and all. So papaya seeds, when you put that, it will come on top and the pepper will settle down. So that way also you can just find out. Sometimes ragi, millet, is colored. So maybe if you take a cotton wick and then wet cotton wick and then just pass it on the ragi, if it is colored, you will find the your cotton has color to that. So these are the simple things. How to check whether your salt is iodized or not. So maybe when you just take the potato, aloo, you just cut it, and so because potato has a starch, and then when you put that salt on that, and then put some tincture of the iodine. So so if the color changes, so you will find that it is an iodized salt. If color is not changing, it means it is a non-iodized salt when you put some kind of juice on that, lime juice, acidity. So these are the some simple tests. We because I told you that we have to also demonstrate in various Anganwadis and various household. We took example, we made the kit, and those kits we passed on to the Anganwadis and household so that they can do this simple test and find out if the products are adulterated. These were for milk, oil, spices and other contaminants. We also supplied with some kind of flow chart so that they can simply check that with the color change and all, they can find it out. Now coming back to the last part, which is on sensors. Is anybody working on sensors here? Anybody? Biosensors and all? These are the tools now which is very widely used, many R&D are being carried out because they are looking for some kind of screening, some kind of fast screening in the field only. Because in the factory, in the field, you don't have to send it to the equipment and then analyze it and takes time and all. You can do it fast in maybe something like NIR, some kind of all those sensors which can be used for fast and rapid screening. These are the various advantages. As I told, you can do it on site, and also it is fast. It is also qualitative as well as quantitative, both. You can carry, you can portable. So all those things are the benefits of that. What is the most important thing whenever you have any rapid sensor? These are the criteria you have to look for. Selectivity, whatever is the analyte of your interest. If you are developing any sensor for organochlorine or organophosphorus pesticide, your sensor has to be specific, selectively isolating only those specific pesticides or anything else. It has to be selective so that it will choose the analyte of your interest. Sensitivity, like you need to know what is the LOD of that, up to what doses it can detect, at what low it can go there. So those kind of sensitivity. Then you have to also have ruggedness, like it is not that it should work only in your facility. If you take this equipment to the farm or somewhere else field also, this equipment should be in a situation so that it can work in all those kind of situation. It is stable. So those kind of criteria is important whenever you do this kind of sensors. Basic principles are that any sensor you take, be it a IR based, NIR based, fluorescence based, or this ELISA based, anything you talk, they work on a simple principle. You should have the analyte which you want to check that, like I told you, maybe aflatoxins, pesticide, or maybe some pathogens. If you have that kind of analyte, you have to have some kind of bioreceptor which will combine with that, which will combine your bioreceptor with your analyte. It will conjugate, it will combine, and this bioreceptor can be anything. It can be enzyme, it can be antibodies, it can be an organism, it can be a cell, anything. So it can combine with your analyte, and then once it combines, it will show some changes. Those changes could be either electrochemical change, it could be pH change, simple, it could be generation of light, it could be the generation of heat, energy, or it could be change of the mass, weight. So all these changes has to be transduced, because those changes will not be so big that your detector can find out. So that has to be transduced, that has to be the intensity of the color change or light change or electrochemical changes has to be amplified. So you need to have the amplifier transducer which will transduce it, and then you will ultimately measure it. So you can do it either in terms of the electrode, you can have the semiconductors, or you can have piezoelectric sensors and all, and that signal, by that signal you can say whether this product contains the specific analyte which are you searching for that. Same thing, I have just put it here again. Your analyte can be any food sample, any kind of microbes, any kind of contaminants, and then your receptor can be either enzymes, antibodies, aptamers, or any cells and all, and then transducers, electrochemicals and all you will have to, and then finally you have to detect it either by the IR or by the some kind of spectra. These are the various detectors techniques which has been used now. Various tools, FTIR, then optical, fiber optics, piezoelectric. Nowadays, nano ones have come. I will just something or add something. Anybody? Nowadays many laboratories are working on nano biosensors. So as I told you here, major changes what they are doing is into this detector one in the last part here. They are trying to incorporate the nano materials, because nanoparticles, by virtue of its being very 10 to the power minus 9 or some kind of thing, they will act as very effective transducers, because any small change into its potential will show there, because particles are so small. So that benefits they take, because they use maybe the carbon nanotubes, or they may use the graphene, or maybe some other materials, and then whatever changes, that changes through this nanotubes and all, they are able to see the changes into their potential. this electrical conductivity or color change and all. So they are able to measure that. Nowadays, many sensors are using VOC based, volatile organic compound sensors. You must have seen some supermarkets, they have a packet where they have the packet inner part has some kind of dye kind of link there, packaging, some dye is there. So suppose fish, meat or something is packed and meat or fish is old, maybe 10 days or 20 days. So it is known that after certain period of shelf life, these meat products, they will emit the volatile organic compounds, maybe in form of the degraded proteinous compound, ammonium compound or something, and those compound gases will, when it combines with the dye on the inner part of the packaging, which is open, actually some kind of transparent sheet is there. So when the color change happens, then the consumer can know this product is not fresh, this product is stale thing, because the volatile organic compounds have come and it is a stale food. So with the color change on the top of this, they can find out, because that is interaction between dye and the organic compound, color change have come, and then consumer can know if my product is old or fresh in that. These are the packaging innovations. Many times they are also using the CNTs, carbon nanotubes, wherein they will impregnate the carbon nanotubes with some kind of metal porphyrins. When they combine with some chemical compound, the electrical conductivity will change. So that electrical conductivity can be measured, and then you can know whether the product is old or kind of fresh. So those kind of innovations are taking up. Many things are happening. Many labs are working on that. I have just put some of the examples for you, so that in case you want to take up this kind of work, it could be helpful. And many startups have come now with this kind of sensors, where they integrate, because you will have the chemical background, and then you can connect it with some electronic person who can make the device which will transduce the signal, and then that signal can be indicated by the devices. This ELISA is common tool, not very novel. It is almost about 20 years old, but now many changes have come. The sensitivity has increased. Earlier it was qualitative, now it is quantitative also. It could measure the changes in color, fluorescence, and electrochemical potential. They can be used. One example here, Siri Central Electro and Electronic Research Institute, Pilani. They have come out with this sensors. They call it as a shear scanner, wherein milk sample you just dip the electrode, and then you can find out how much is the protein content, fat content, and also the SNF and all those things. It can tell, and these have been commercialized. Some company has already taken it and they are doing it in a big kind of scale. Such devices have also got the presidential award and all, because it is a very fast kind of tools, rapid tools. Similarly, they also did for contaminants, like if your milk has urea, detergent, soda and all, they can also find out. All those principles are same, I told you. So they have put it. I have just mentioned one company in Surat. This Alpine technology has taken it from that, and then they are manufacturing it in a big scale. Because this kind of tools, anybody can use it either at home scale or any factory, like any big dairy and all. If they get so many supplies of the milk, they can check it if the supply is fine or if it contains any kind of contaminants. Similarly, NDDDB has come out with a kit, milk kit. TFRL has come out with a kit where they have impregnated the various compounds. Like suppose they have impregnated a compound which when they comes into contact with the sodium bicarbonate and all, the color change will happen. So with the color change, you can find out if the milk is contaminated with the detergents and all. We have also done one study in our institute. This kind of sachet, milk sachet, which you have seen from Amul and all those things. Many times what happens, the milk supply will come early morning, 5 o'clock or so, and the vendor will keep the milk sachet outside even up to 11 or 10 o'clock. When sun comes and all, obviously the milk quality will change, and when you take the packet home, then the milk will curdle, phat jata hai milk ko. So what happens that milk has generated some kind of VOC, volatile compounds, because milk has a protein. So that milk VOC, we have put on the packet some kind of dye. When it combines with the compound, then the color change will come. So consumer, when they know that color, when they see the darker color, they can know that this milk is about to spoil. So such technologies we have also passed on to some companies, and they can use this. So simple innovations which can empower the consumer to know whether the products are fresh or stale, that also can be used. I think you must have seen many mobile food safety van, which your state governments will also use it. They will take it to the various household community and test various commodities if they are adulterated or not. Simple devices. I think I have come to the end of this talk, and then these are the things. One important thing I would like to stress here, whenever you do any sensing kind of device, most important thing is the validation. You need to validate it. If your device is detecting the specific pesticide, organochlorine or something, you suppose your detection is 0.1, you have to validate with the classical method, like maybe LC or maybe GGC. You have to take the sample and validate that yes, the same kind of value is coming also in the classical way, and that way you can validate, because nowadays FSSAI is also approving such kind of sensors. They have a scheme, RAFT, R-A-F-T. You can go to the site of the FSSAI, Rapid Analytical Technologies, they call it. So they can find out you, if somebody is coming out with such kind of devices, you have the validation of that data. With that, you can submit to them and they will approve it. So once they approve it, then the various companies can use it, because they know that it is approved by the FSSAI, and then acceptance will be higher, and then you can manufacture and sell such kind of devices. So these are the things which I just wanted to share you. Any further query, I will be happy to address anything else. Thank you for your attention. It was quite your time. Please. Anybody has any